Topic 1. Colin Powell died on Monday. He was a decorated soldier and military leader. His fame and prominence made him a likely choice for a presidential candidacy, though he never ran. However, mainstream media is applauding his long career while rarely criticizing him for the brutal imperialistic war machine that he oversaw. How do you look at Powell? Do you think he was a hero? Does the fact that he was a Republican up until the year he died play into your decision? Is this someone that black kids should look up to? Or should we be more discerning about who we lionize? Yeah, Colin Powell died. And like, he's an interesting figure. I think he's a really interesting figure. Like, no matter what you think of him, morally or personally, I think he's a very interesting person, and where he like what he managed to achieve in his lifetime. Like, he has like the story, right? Like, from rags to not quite riches, but like like high office. And I see why so many people like want him to be such a great man, especially in the black community. Right? Like, this is someone you can look up to. Kids, see what you can accomplish. But he actually has a record we can examine, right? He's not like just like a football player or someone who just like plays a game with like no consequences. The things he did had huge consequences, and so I want to explore that as to like, should this person and others like him, because we're gonna get into that too, should be labeled as heroes. So, opening statements. Start with Jamali.
So yeah, with doing a little bit of research into Colin Powell, because I was alive when he made his speech about weapons in Iraq or whatever, but I was too young to actually give a fuck or even pay attention. So doing all that stuff and reading about the things that he did in his life. I mean, he's from the South Bronx, like me, represent South BX, all that gang shit and all that good stuff. But like, I mean, in a way, yeah, he should be a role model because he did come from a very, very poor neighborhood in the 50s, which probably was like one of the worst neighborhoods in the world at the time, in the country at least. And it was one of the times where like the demographic shifted a lot. And I think that we can address the things that he did that were terrible, the human rights issues, the leading us into war, whether or not you think that that's his fault or not, whether or not he was just listening to what his party was saying or falling in party lines, which I mean, sure, we could hold him accountable for all that stuff. But there are still things that he did that should be inspirational that a lot of young black people can identify with. And if we can take the things that young black people can identify with as a positive things, then yeah, white people do the same thing. Literally, this is almost the same conversation we had about R. Kelly and whether or not he should be demonized or not, but for the things that he did. It's like, yes, he should be absolutely demonized, but his music is still some of the greatest music ever created. We can't deny that. And I think if that can inspire people to make great music, then I don't think we should necessarily just be like, all right, well, all R. Kelly shit, just get it out, right? Like, he did terrible things. He's also done great things. Why don't we just focus on the great things and then put the terrible things in a note and be like, hey, these are the terrible things he did, by the way, asterisk.
Okay. Bam.
This man was, like you said, from the Bronx. Survived a military crash. I mean, a helicopter crash. Was under the Nixon, Reagan, and W. Bush administration, and held the highest office for a black man in the history of the country before Barack Obama. Obviously, the man lived a very interesting life. He did accomplish a lot. Yeah, I do think there's a lot of super valid critiques to be had for decisions he made, but I don't believe that there's massive things to say about his at least his character. It seems like everything he said he legitimately believed in. He seemed like with time he was a person that wasn't afraid to speak out about things he disagreed with or acknowledged when he was wrong, specifically dealing with the Iraq war. And while like I said, there are some things that like are unforgivable, like stains against him that led to the deaths of thousands. Like that has to be prefaced. I don't think that can be put in a tiny box. I think that has to be like centered in the conversation. Outside of that, I don't think that there should be. I don't think that there's a lot of like heavy things to hold against him as a person. And yeah, that's my open statement.
Yeah, I'm glad I chose the people that I did because we're going to have a fight. All right, let's go with Fanatiq.
Yeah, I think we should do him the same way we should be doing everyone else, right? Like I've had to do this in my personal life all day, right? When someone passes, like you tend to look at these people differently. Like some people want to deify these people and instantly make them into to be like the holy like patron saints of greatness. But I think there's plenty of people where I'm gonna always look at things honestly. I think my grandmother was in just an amazing woman. Yesterday was the 2-year anniversary of her passing. And
Sorry for your loss.
thank you. I look at her as an amazing person, not because I like tend to just ignore all the horrible things or whatever. It's just because she was truly a really great woman. I don't say the same thing about my grandfather who passed, before her. I don't think he was as great of a person. So in the same sense, I'd say with Colin Powell, yes, he's an inspiration for Black people because as a Black man, the things that he accomplished were amazing. But I would also say, in the same sense, we can look at some of the atrocious things that he's done, and those things should never be ignored. Otherwise, we tend to repeat like some of the same mistakes. I think, yeah. So ultimately, overall, I'll say just the symbolism of being a Black man in that space is great. What he did with that, being a member of the Republican Party, with some of the atrocities that they've done, some of the things that he supported, I can never justify any of those things. So I think, again, it's just saying it succinctly, he's an emblem for the position he held, but a disgrace for some of the things that he supported.
Okay. Jay?
Wow. I have a few thoughts. I think, how do I look at Colin Powell? I think, to align with, I have the same idea of as what everyone else has said. Like, I think Colin but I'm gonna compartmentalize those two things in a different way. I think that Colin Powell as a Black person was, I think he can be looked up as a hero in some ways. Um, I think he was trying to get ahead like anyone else in his position would do, which I think someone else already kind of touched on that a little bit. And then, he also endorsed Barack Obama when he ran for president. And like, I don't know, I feel like that of itself is like he is he has good character. And he supports Black people. He was just doing it in his what he thought was like the way to get ahead. Um that to say, as a Democrat, I don't think he should be looked up um for any kid, because he did a lot of fucked up shit. And I think, problematic, if he was a problematic white person, I he would be facing those consequences, in my opinion. Um Facing those bad consequences now, because it's not let's face it, it's not a good time to be a cisgender white male. With that said, I feel like I'm also hearing like everyone is saying that because he's Black, he's a good character, and I kind of want to dive into that a little bit later, but that's all I want to say for now.
Okay, go ahead, Azzy.
Yeah, I'm really surprised how some of these takes, like, there's a bunch of overstatements and there's a real, like, disregard of what he was able to accomplish and what he actually did accomplish. But, you know, be that as it may, Colin Powell is one of the most important Black figures in America to date. No one can dispute this. If you can, I need to see, some legitimate reasons why. So, like, other than the blunders of the under the George Bush administration. Yeah, we could talk about that. But other than that, Colin Powell, it was one of the most his record almost, I'm not even gonna say man, that he was one of the most influential Black people in the country. And I do have to say that because of Colin Powell and many other, as someone is a moderate like he said himself, he was a moderate facing Republican. That's probably why I'm still a registered Republican. Like Colin Powell had a huge influence on a lot of people, and yeah.
Wait, bro, you can't still be a Republican in 2020. Like that, there's no way. With what the Republican, my God, I don't want this to become a Republican versus Democrat conversation. Yeah, I don't think anybody here in any of the statements have like have denied the greatness that it is for him to have accomplished what he accomplished, right? Like no one here is saying that, but I think we can all realistically say, like, yes, he did an amazing thing. He like overcame crazy odds. He elevated the scope of what the Black image can like black potential. Like he did those things. No one's denying that, but that doesn't mean that we can say that and simultaneously say that he was a scumbag for some of the things that he endorsed, right?
This nigga like supported Ronald Reagan, which is like the great white devil.
Great white devil.
I'm just saying. I'm like, as far as contextually bad people to like get behind, like again, his individual character is one thing, but this man's career is very spotty. In time, there are a lot of things that the community shouldn't rock with. But to Jay Cooks, I was about to say something you said. I like this isn't my opinion on him. Like his character isn't related to him being Black. I think that John McCain has seems to have like an excellent character. And even if I disagree with his like politics, like I separate those things. Like I don't think his race is like a factor in me like coming to that decision.
Well, humans have always sort of, and I wish it wasn't this way, but we've always, as we've gotten more and more civilized, we've always glorified, military leaders, people who have, gone to war, obviously, or else you can't really have. There's no way to actually gain support for people joining the military if you don't, idealize these people. And militaries are used to, instill your power, at least geopolitically and locally. So it makes sense that a military hero is someone that is going to be admonished with all of these rewards and praised and deified, as Fanatiq says, or vilified. But I mean, like I said, every other civilization does this too. We can't just say that because he's a terrible person militarily that his accomplishments mean nothing, right? Like,
again, no one is, who can we just make sure, like, is there any person in the panel who is saying anything remotely close to his accomplishments mean nothing? I don't think
you
anyone
said he
here
was
is.
disgrace. You said he was a disgrace.
Wait,
Jay
hold
Cook
on.
said he
Hold
shouldn't
on.
be
Wait.
somebody you look up to.
Azzy. Can you think that someone is a disgusting person and still recognize that their accomplishment had value? Can those two things be done simultaneously?
Sounds like an oxymoron to me, and I don't say many of those.
So you think it's an absolute thing. So for example, say somebody saved a person's life. You can say that's a good thing. And then we find out that he's a serial rapist. You can say that him saving that life is a good thing, but he's still a disgusting human being for being a serial rapist, right? Like not everything is absolute, right?
I don't say things like that. I don't call people disgusting human beings. I don't, especially if somebody has the if you truly believe in reconciliation and stuff like that, as if someone's not their
Okay,
past.
he's an unregenerate.
Especially,
Okay, wait. He's an unregenerate serial rapist. He's an unregenerate serial rapist. Is he a disgusting human being?
I don't say stuff like that, even amongst the worst.
So you'd rather just plead the
Why did I
fifth?
Because
make
it
that?
doesn't if you believe that, then there's nothing to be, then what you said about him being a disgrace, and he's basically akin to like a criminal at this point, one of a lesser human figure that deserves to be forgotten in the annals of history.
I believe that
Azzy,
the
can
human
we not
beings
get
can be
stuck up on the
redeemed.
word? Oh, sorry. Go
Uh,
ahead.
Oh no, you good. I didn't
before
want to cut you off.
we continue, just maybe I missed it. Azzy, did you say that you are a Republican? Like,
Yeah, I did.
oh,
I'm a registered Republican. I haven't voted Republican in a long time.
oh, okay. I didn't
But
I didn't catch that.
yeah.
All right, fair enough. That's all. We don't have to dig into that, but yeah.
Oh yeah, I was saying like I can think someone's a disgusting human being and also think that they're like there's something like except that there's things they can do to like to be redeemable as people. But like where you currently sit is where you currently sit. And I mean this man's dead and I don't think he like done anything in his career. Like although he made positive steps. Sure, last year he left the Republican Party. I mean, well on January 6th he left the Republican Party, whatever. Like all of those things are good, like but I don't think he redeemed the Iraq War. And like I said, this man will never redeem being a part of the Ronald Reagan administration. And I'm gonna keep saying it because that junk is wild to me.
We can pick and pull pieces of a person's life to like say like this is bad, this is good. That's it. It really is.
Yeah, well, we can if we're Azzy. Azzy says like either like they're all good or they're all bad. There is no in between. There's no nuance. Like either you're a saint or you're a disgusting human being. I guess there's no middle ground. It's just crazy as freak to me. But for the rest of us, the
I
people
didn't
who
say
actually
there's no middle ground. It's just if you call somebody a disgrace and then say they shouldn't be somebody you look up to, it does.
I never said that he shouldn't be
say,
someone. I
yeah,
never
they
said that
did
he
do
shouldn't
good
be someone that
things.
you shouldn't look up to. You just are incapable of
I'm not
understanding any
saying
sort
you
of
did.
nuance.
I'm
Oh,
saying it
okay.
was said on the panel. I never made the
Well,
statement.
I was trying
never
to
made the
get to
statement.
I was trying to get somewhere with you, but you were incapable. So I just kind
I
of
don't-
moved past it already.
I didn't say I'm incapable. I'm just saying the
I'm
statements
saying
you
you're
made
incapable.
are very damning, and it's very hard in an optic sense. If you, especially, I know I just like the English language, and I use words, kind of significantly, and I'll just throw words out there and say,
Okay.
yeah, but he's still a good guy. He's disgusting though.
I didn't say he's a good guy. I didn't say he's a
Huh?
good guy. I never said he's a
It's
good
just
guy.
kind of
What are you talking
confusing,
about?
but
I know, because you literally it's so insane to me. I don't
There's
know.
so
it's
much
cheesy.
nuance to it here.
Yeah,
You
but
can't
he's
just say
incapable
he's
of
like a
actually,
good
like-
guy or like a bad guy, right? Like
I'm saying
I
he's a
wouldn't
bad
even-
guy. I'm saying he's a bad guy. I'm saying he's a bad guy, but specifically the fact that he achieved the place where he got to in office is a good thing that's inspirational, right? Because he's demonstrating to plenty of young black children, right? Like if we're gonna ever be the people who condemn the media, like for like constantly demonizing the character of black men and disparaging our image, if we're gonna demonize the media for that, then we have to recognize that when someone does something positive for our image, then we should probably be supportive and respectful and appreciative of that. So it's like where it's like I wasn't a humongous fan of Barack Obama's policy, but I absolutely liked the dignity that he had inside of the White House, how he carried himself, him and his wife, that they were like pretty much scandal free. I thought that was commendable. Now, does that mean that I like his policy? No, but I actually have a working brain, so I can simultaneously say I don't like his policy while also saying that he was a good look as far as the way he carried himself. In the same sense, I think that what's his name, Colin Powell, definitely like he had a certain level of dignity about himself. He was an accomplished man, and I think that's a good image. However, I think he did not use those things well, and some of the things that he did were heinous. I don't know. It's just crazy.
I was about to say, I don't want to take it all the way off topic. I'm curious where you fall when it comes to Bill Cosby on those like same parameters, because he was like a really good image for black men for a long time, for like what we think of the black family. But now we see where that ended up. So I'm just curious.
Well, I don't think that there is literally any forensic evidence to suggest that Bill Cosby is guilty of the heinous things that they accused him of. So he is still a freaking hero. I don't until I see any form of forensic evidence, which we know there is none. I don't believe that a person is guilty until they are proven so, and I don't think that there's any evidence to actually prove him as guilty. So because of that,
That's why
I
I
still
turned
look
this
at
way around.
like Bill Cosby as a pretty inspirational and awesome dude for what he did for the black community.
Don't play. Jay.
Yeah, I want to get off of this Cosby topic because
Yeah,
that
like
was already
the
covered.
fact that
Oh no,
Let Jay finish.
I feel okay. I want to go back to shoot, Fanatiq. You said something that put this thought in my head. This question to you all. In history books, he's gonna be written about. So, do we all agree that because of how far he got again, as a Black person, he's gonna be remembered for that. Do we all agree, or
Yeah, of course, for sure.
okay?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sorry.
That's like 90% of it. I'm about to say that. I mean, well, actually, probably like 50% of it. Like the half of his career is going to come down to the UN speech. Like that is what people associate with Colin Powell. But the other 50% is going to be like relation to the things he accomplished as a Black man in America.
Yeah, like I just don't understand. Like,
Which is why is something like that important, right? Like it's important because Black people, generally speaking, do not have role models, or at least people who have high power and status. And like we agreed, Colin Powell was the highest there was until Barack Obama.
like Colin Powell, yeah, he armed a whole country and an initiative against a terrorist group based off of misinformation, which was really just like a terrorist bluff on the fact that they had weapons of mass destruction. Okay, yeah, I understand that was something bad, but to then give like positive and negative character traits when, like, if you look at the list of things, his stance on affirmative action, his pro civil rights hair, the fact that even being a Republican and having those stances
He's
is
still
like now
pro-choice.
it's like okay, that's his own personal thing. I don't
Oh, that
think
was a good thing. He's a Republican
yeah,
and still pro-choice. Like that's
I would understand. Like, I guess, like he aligned with most of Republican, but he was still one of the more moderate-facing Republicans who was very. He chastised his party all the time. In fact, that's why the very after he died is like the obituaries are like almost heinous. Like they're really like spitting on his name right now because
for,
on
From a
both
Republican
sides.
point of
for,
view,
for playing.
On both sides, yeah. They basically yes. Didn't you hear what Trump said about him?
Oh boy.
Don't listen to
Basically-
Trump. Trump is not
Yeah.
the standard.
Well, right
Trump
now,
is the Republican
I
Party at
mean,
this point. They have
Yeah.
rallied behind him. They still have insane amounts of support
Yeah.
until
Wait,
the
I thought I
Republican
saw,
Party
like,
goes
one
hard
Republican-
body into distancing
No.
themselves, bro.
from
called him a
Trump.
rhino.
Okay.
I mean, he got. I'm sorry. I just want to say he essentially he's getting like flamed right now for playing the American game, which is what any white person would have done. And I think Jay Cookie said that a white person would have been like dragged for these things, but I don't know if I necessarily agree with that.
Now they would have been. Not like
Who?
I don't think so.
I
Bro,
don't
we
think
can
so
look at we
either.
can look
I
at
really
George
don't
Bush
think so.
Jr. Look at George Bush Jr.
He's
who
still
was
out
actually
here.
the president when that was happening, and you see even people on the left trying to reclaim his image. You don't remember when Ellen DeGeneres was catching flack from niggas because it was like, wait, why are you guys trying to normalize this warmonger evil dude, right? And that was like a big talking point there. So like they're doing it now with George Bush, but they who was like literally
He's
the
not
actual
even
president
dead
at
yet.
the time, right? And but they're gonna do the opposite with Colin Powell in his death. It's crazy. Nah, you can miss me with all that.
Okay. So I guess I'll have to step in here because like this glossing over Colin Powell as the monster that he is not going to stand. Colin Powell was involved, like when one of the places we first came up was the Vietnam War. But something that Colin Powell did is that he helped cover up the My Lai massacre, when American troops massacred 500 civilians. Right? Like he like told the company in line, I don't know what happened there. What massacre? No, I mean this no, this looks good. Like that massacre. That's like that massacre. That's literally like when people like talk about war crimes, right? Like it's like American war crimes. They talk about the My Lai massacre. Like they talk about this one moment. He helped cover that up. That was Colin Powell, right?
Where are all the other people that helped cover it up?
We're talking about him. Like what? What is this? What aboutism? Holy shit! This is what aboutism.
Listen,
there were others. Yeah, there were plenty of others. Let's later on. Let's go down that list, right? If you actually care, let's go down the list, and we can shit
absolutely.
On them.
Yeah, he should be shit on for sure for that.
Okay.
no.
All right. So
what happened was he essentially came off and defended it, and then later on, years later, he was like, "Yeah, I mean that happened after I got there, or whatever," and then he helped cover it up. I mean, there are plenty of military cover-ups like
There are plenty of military cover-ups, everyone.
none of these things are good. I don't think that we should even be like idolizing this person necessarily, because I don't like the idea of idolizing like war and like literal soldiers. I think that's outdated. But I mean, here we are in a world where that's the case. And so now we come to a point where this guy who is committed or helped commit terrible atrocities is going to be dragged for it after he's dead. Sure, absolutely. But like also, he did great things too.
We
right?
We live in a society where, you know, there's sexual assault, right? Like it's rampant, it's epidemic. And look, this one guy, like he engaged in, but like, you know, there's a lot of people who engage in sexual assault. Why are we pointing out this one person, right? Like, but he accomplished other things, right? Like he made great movies, right?
That's not
so
the
I think
same. That's
how
not
is
the
that not? Hold on,
same.
how is that not the same?
That's not the
Because this is a
same.
role
Oh, that's
model,
not the
whereas the
same.
analogy you're making is of like some random person.
No, I'm not talking about random
No,
person. I'm
it's
talking
not.
about
No,
Eric
it's not the
Weinstein.
same because because what you're talking. Oh wait, I can't hear you.
I'm not talking.
We can hear you. Yeah.
Sorry. Sorry.
She's
No,
just
I'm
here to
saying it's
yell
not
over
the
you,
same
Brian.
because what you're comparing it to is a crime. What Colin Powell did, was a crime, but he was also toting the line with what everyone else was doing.
He was doing his job.
Yeah, there's a higher
Wait, no, that's a bad argument because
threshold
Nazis, right? But like,
tolerance.
Wow.
but like,
no. I want Jay to finish your point. Then I'm going to go off. But go ahead, Jay, please.
No, I was just gonna say there's like a higher threshold of tolerance for certain crimes. That's my point.
Okay, so actually, I'm a little confused of what your point is. Are you saying that, like Colin Powell, like despite the fact that he was in the military and was quote unquote doing his job, that he should be held accountable? Or are you saying that because he was
That
doing
he
his
shouldn't.
job,
I'm saying that he shouldn't be held
he
accountable.
shouldn't be held accountable? Okay, here we go.
Jacobs,
So,
no.
like, it is unbelievable, right? So, everyone,
I'm saying
you've heard
no,
it.
okay,
No,
but-
you've heard it. Hold on, no, my turn now. No, you've heard it, everyone. When you're in the military, right, and there's a massacre, as long as you were just doing your job, it's okay. The higher up said so, right? That's a fantastic excuse. I wonder where in history and other places we could apply this logic. He shouldn't be held accountable, right? Right? For all those other war crimes we've had in history where people have tried to cover it after the fact, they were just doing their jobs. Right? Okay, yes, sure, there are mass graves there. Oh, yes, children in there. Yeah, okay. And the rape and the murder and the pillaging, that all happened. But look, squirrel over there. My boss told me to say that. I'm distracting you, and I should have no accountability. Unbelievable.
I don't think that accountability. I don't think that like lack of accountability was. Well, I mean, I'm not going to speak for her. I wouldn't say that he shouldn't be held accountable. I think there should be zero sympathy, but I also think that weirdly there should be a place of empathy, like a place of understanding. Like what is the outcome, and because empathy isn't justification. Again, like I'm just saying, like what is the reality for a military whistleblower? Like I don't even know what happened.
He had to protect his career, guys.
No, I'm not even talking about career. I'm talking about life.
Wow.
Like what is the
Wow.
what is the actual outcomes for a
I
military
mean,
whistleblower?
Without knowing a person like directly, I feel really weird saying that someone was his decisions were invested only in himself and not just because he was either afraid for his position, where like not his position, but just afraid for his life. Because the military is a fucking military. You cannot really
you think they were
disobey
going to
orders.
assassinate? So you're saying the U.S. military, if he had come out, you're saying the reason why he didn't do it is because he would have been assassinated. Is that your statement right now?
I'm saying you can't take that off the table.
I'm not going to hard say that. I'm not going to.
I don't think you can take that off the table.
Oh my God.
You think the U.S. doesn't military wouldn't assassinate?
I'm not the only one hearing this, right?
Oh no. So here's the thing. Yeah, they are saying a bunch of dumb stuff, but like, I think really, ultimately, like I do think though that there's some validity to the idea that like yes, it's possible that like no. Let me just take the entirely different stats. I'm sorry. I do not justify him covering that up. I think that's absolutely insane. I don't know why anyone would do that. I think that's I don't even know why you guys are like committing to that. And hold on. Okay, so it's 100% unjustified. It is absolutely heinous. Yes. There's no excuses for it. So he is a demon for that. If that is his only action to define his life, he's a demon, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So then it seems like when you guys like start saying a whole bunch of stuff like, well, I mean, but he kind of had to for his career, or I'm sorry, maybe we don't know what would have happened if he like didn't toe the line. So he kind of was doing it for his own protection. It sounds almost like you guys are trying to make an excuse.
I don't
for
know
it.
the ins and out of it. I don't even know if he had all the information at his head
He
available.
did. He was the investigator. He helped investigate that. He actually did. He was reading the reports. Yes, he did actually.
Again, I'm literally just talking
But
about.
I don't know what the
I'm
reports
just saying
say.
understanding.
I don't know if the
what
reports are even
on.
on this.
Wait, what
Are
are we
you hearing this?
empathy in what way? Like, what are we empathizing?
I'm saying understanding what possibly could draw you to come to that conclusion. Like if I was in that position, what is the outcome of a military whistleblower?
Okay, I hear you, but do you understand why it seems really like weird? How should I say weird? It seems really weird when like we're discussing, hey, this is heinous, and it seems like something that's atrocious. You're like making all the excuses for it, right? Like
empathy,
for example,
do you think empathy is an excuse? Do you think understanding why someone did something is excusing the behavior?
no, empathy in and of itself is not normally an excuse, but it does seem like when you give the empathy and you don't make it crystal clear that you're like not that you still hold this thing in super duper like low regard, I think it's pretty problematic.
No, I thought we already did that. I thought that was the first thing that we said.
That was pretty clear.
This is a really bad thing. That's like that he should be held accountable for. That was the first thing that came out of my mouth. Like he should be held accountable for it. But I can empathize and understand and come to a realization of why you could come to that conclusion. That's not.
Sam,
that's not
get used to the listening skills of some of these people on this panel, man. Get used to it, because some of these people don't listen for squat, bro, and they will attack you for the craziest thing.
Okay, so here's the problem. Here's the problem, Bam. I do this all the time. You can like literally go back, watch any of the footage. You'll see I do it on a regular basis. It's like this thing where it's like, okay, so when I make a statement, if I just say once, like, I think R. Kelly was a bad person. Okay, I think he was bad for what he did to the kids. And then I spend the next 30 minutes challenging everyone who is like literally just trying to paint how absolutely atrocious and heinous this guy is. And I spend the rest of the time like, no, but pushing back. Right? Like, no. But overall, though, like, he was a good contributor here. And yeah, this was actually a positive influence, this portion of it. And I'm only doing that. But I initially made that one statement of, hey, just so we're clear, though, I think he's a bad person. Do you understand why optically it starts to feel like, I don't know, you're maybe a little bit more leaning towards a given side than otherwise we might have guessed?
I mean, I understand how you can come to that conclusion with using empathy, but again, all I can do is say the words that come out of my mouth. And if someone runs with those to some other conclusion, that's like, I can't control that. All I can do is say what I say and mean what I say. And I mean that like, it was absolutely atrocious. He held absolutely accountable for those actions, and and there is no justification for them. But I'm curious what are the outcomes. Like, I'm curious if I was in his position, what are the outcomes for being a military whistleblower? If I'm
your excuse, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. No, I don't understand how any of that comes off as an excuse. So, I don't know how.
You're saying that he had to protect his career. What are the outcomes?
No, I never mentioned his career. I'm saying he could literally die.
No, okay. So what whistleblowers has the military assassinated? What whistleblowers are you?
We don't know about them because they're in an unmasked grave somewhere.
Are you kidding me? Like, what is this? Okay, all right.
We're getting to conspiracy. Sure.
Full-blown conspiracy now. All right.
We assassinated Fred Hampton. And Fred Hampton wasn't even related to the military. Like, you're saying the U.S. government doesn't knock people off?
Look, but
we don't kill niggas. That's not a specialty.
Yes. Okay. Yes. The U.S. government has assassinated black leaders. No, that's the thing. It's happened, right? That's the thing. Okay. But look, there were other people who did whistleblow. There were two whistleblowers.
I don't know.
And I know you don't. And you're just saying things. There were two whistleblowers who brought this to his attention. He tried to cover up the first one, right? But then the second one came out, and okay, well, I guess I got no choice, right? And then he tried to cover. Yeah, thank you. Oh, that's good information. Sorry. In court, this man was making excuses for that, and he like kept with like the line the military company line on this, right? For years, even in his memoirs, he was doing that. Even in his memoirs, he was doing that. He was pretending like, oh, I've had some come to Jesus moment. But we have recordings of him actually going through the reports, like thumbing through the reports, right, and going, no, this looks fine. This looks fine.
It was really
no,
bad.
He was a fucking disaster, and he did this his entire career. He made excuses. The entire career he made excuses for his military commanders, including the Iraq invasion. That's just another example. That wasn't just one example, right? People are like, oh, that's his defining moment, right? That's like the one thing, right? But everything else is great. No, this was endemic of his entire fucking career. That was him. That was him. And then you want more? Okay.
Why don't we just let him fail up like everyone else?
Okay. All right. Oh, yes. All right. Let's talk about.
I don't want niggas to fail up. I was about to say
let's do it. Let's do it. Okay. Right. Because let people who excuse war crimes have even more power. That's a great idea, right? Because then they can commit their own war crimes, like when we had the invasion of Panama, right? And they were dropping bombs on civilians there in Panama. Like, I forget when that happened, like in the 90s, I believe, or the 80s. I forget the invasion of Panama. I forget the date. But a long fucking time ago. In any case, they're still pulling bodies out of the rubble. Like today, they're still finding graves of individuals. He bombed the poor neighborhoods where black people lived. That's what he did. As the Joint Chiefs of Staff, he doesn't get any higher than that. He oversaw that. So yes, please, that's a good idea. When someone covers up a war crime, give them more power. That will end well. Great.
Nah, fuck that. Everyone should be held accountable for everything.
Wait, no, but Prime, that's not that we're not necessarily saying that we because I mean you move the goalposts a little bit. Like we're not talking about whether or not we should be giving him more power. It's whether or not like that is enough to offset like I guess everything that everything else that he accomplished.
She said, "Why don't we let them fail up?" And so I responded to that. That's what she said.
Oh, that's not.
That's what she said. That's what I'm responding to.
I agree. Jay Cooks, what's happening here?
I'm so hungry. Like I had
lunch
early.
No.
Oh, we're not blaming this on
give her
food.
Snickers.
Right.
What? Yeah. Jay,
and I bite. So
Jay, eat a Snickers. You're excusing war
Not
crimes.
the point.
Like I don't.
Yeah, no, I mean, everyone should be held accountable in the military for war crimes, dog. Fuck that shit. You drop nukes on the country, get the president, get everyone else who ordered that shit, everyone else who actually flew the planes, load the shit onto the plane. Yeah, get them all. Fuck it. The military as a whole.
When does that ever happen?
It doesn't.
That's the point.
But there has to be a fall person somewhere, right?
So so the fall person is gonna be Colin Powell.
I mean, I think
if he's part of it, anybody.
Yeah, if he's part of it, why does he have to be the only one? I don't know why you guys are limiting this, saying that he's the only one. We're just talking about him because he's the one who died and he's the one in the news, and that's the subject matter. I don't know why you're putting this constraint. No, I want jail cells for them all. Don't worry, we got enough. We clear out some of the people who smoke weed, right? Let's put the fucking war criminals in there. Don't worry, we got that. So I don't know why you guys are like stating that. Like I've never said he needs to be the only one who goes down. No one's ever no one on my side. Maybe I'm the only one on my side. I don't know. No one said that like it's got to be the one guy. There's room for others. Definitely.
I think I'm more or less on your side on this. Honestly, it's just a matter of the original question for the panel is like, should he be like a black role model or whatever? And it's like for black stuff, sure, yes. I mean for it, yeah. Only in the regard, nuance this. Come on, listen to me here, okay? Listen, baby.
Oh, I'm listening. Unfortunately, keep going.
Only in the context of the fact that he is a black man who gained a very high office, despite his upbringing, despite the setbacks he had growing up in a poor neighborhood. You know, as every other black person, generally speaking, well, not every other black person,
child of immigrants,
a lot of black persons and immigrants. We're not talking about that right now. Like a lot of black people tend to experience. This is something that is directly relatable in terms of growing up disadvantaged and still making something of your life. And now he was a very big advocator for not allowing his blackness be something that was the defining character as to why he achieved the things he did. But he recognized that it was harder for black people to do things in this country. And I think that's a pretty cool thing. I think that he is still, pretty shitty for the war crimes that he did.
He's pretty shitty, guys. No. Look up at him. But he's kind of shitty for the war crimes.
Prime, I gotta hit you with this.
No, let's do it. Fanatiq. The final boss.
I know I'm not going crazy. I just want to see if you're gonna be as unnuanced as he was. So we all admit.
Please don't.
Him covering up. Oh, okay. completely.
Go ahead.
Like,
What nonsense you gonna say?
okay,
I wanna hear.
we'll see. Just wait and listen. Okay. All right. Let the adults talk. Do you think, like, even though like we're all willing to concede that like the war crimes were terrible, like the lying about 9/11 was awful, like some of the other policy positions that he had just as a Republican were awful, like all that stuff, being able to support Donald Trump was terrible, like all of these things we're concede. You know, I'm on that page. I think that all of these things are trash, and
Why
I
did
think
he
he's
support
disgusting
Donald
for
Trump?
it. Shush. All these he's disgusting for it.
Are you stupid? He never
Wait,
supported
hey,
Donald Trump.
hey, let me
Azzy,
finish
Azzy,
my
let me finish.
questioning. Azzy, please. Don't ever ask me, am I stupid? Nigga, you gotta know who you are. What the hell? But like, do you
Nice.
would you say, despite all of those things, that literally him being in the position for people who are uninformed about his misdeeds, that just that imagery would be something that can be inspirational to young black children, that they can accomplish more?
All right, so I just want to make sure that we're on the same question. All right, so I'm going to repeat it back to it as I heard it. Okay, all right. So, yeah, he knows what's coming. All right, that's why he's getting ready. He knows what's coming. Right. We have a man who's risen to high office. Right. He's risen to high office, and should we, tell children that yes, you can be just like him too. That guy, who covered up war crimes in Vietnam. That guy who bombed civilians, right? Like turned neighborhoods into mass graves, right? Kid, you're coming from a rough neighborhood. You can be like that too, right? Like that's someone I look up to. No, okay, look.
Unless we start talking about all historical figures like that.
Yes,
though.
we should. Absolutely. That's what I do. This all
And-
the time.
okay.
All the
like
time.
there's a
Okay.
president
Trust
that
me.
existed.
Okay, if we're gonna do that for all historical figures, sure.
Or
so
absolutely,
person.
yes.
Martin Luther King is not fucking exempt.
Yeah,
no
he's
one
not
is
a
exempt.
saint.
No one should be
Right.
exempt. Absolutely not.
But
Everyone gets called out. Everyone
but
gets
that level
called
of
out.
accountability doesn't remove you from liking people. There's
No,
politicians.
I know.
I'm
You
sure
like
you
war
like.
criminals. I get that.
That's
Yeah. You can
But I'm
love
saying
them.
you
They're
personally.
lovable.
I'm
They're
talking
lovable
about
and
you.
huggable. I get that. Yeah,
I think
sure.
there's you. I think there's politicians you approve of.
There's you.
who've been on board with things that have caused bad crimes. Like I said, Bernie voted for the crime bill. Well, I know it's like a gotcha Republicans throw out,
Great.
but I'm saying
Yes.
like, and we
Same
can hold
thing.
them accountable for that. But
Same
that doesn't
thing.
mean that didn't make you not a Bernie supporter.
No, look, yeah. Well, here's what I do. All right, here's what I do, and you guys aren't actually doing. All right, and Azzy, what's going on with your video? You having trouble, buddy? Azzy?
Oh, I must have. Hold on.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought
yeah.
he dipped. I thought he got.
Yeah, that's what I thought at
Rage
first.
quit.
No,
But
because Fanatiq outright lied. So
Okay,
it's all right.
But Azzy, well, no, Fanatiq don't relate yet. I know what's gonna happen, but I didn't.
I mean, it's okay.
I know
you know.
him. I know this man by now. But bam, right? So, sorry. Ask your question again. I got distracted. I apologize.
I'm saying that throughout history, with like there's people, politicians, movement leaders that you like that have been a part of heinous things that I'm sure you still have a positive faith.
Your example was Bernie Sanders on the crime bill. When if you actually look at Bernie Sanders when he signed that legislation, right? When not signed, he voted for that legislation. He's on the I believe it was a Senate, maybe he was a congressman. I believe like he was in Congress, right? Making a speech talking about how I don't want to vote for this. This is shit. However, like Joe Biden, the president who introduced that, was smart enough to attach the Violence Against Women's Act on that. And he's like, I don't want to vote against that. So I'm voting for the Violence Against Women's Act. But this is bullshit.
He voted for all of it.
Okay, great. So, but still,
he voted for all of it.
but no, that's great. Fine. If that's your gotcha, that's amazing. Great.
I'm just, it wasn't even supposed to be a
bringing
gotcha.
it back.
Was,
but I will go to your question more directly than that. No problem, right? I'll ignore your terrible example. That's fine. But like, yes, there are other historical figures who have done terrible things, and I'm saying that what I'm doing is taking the more nuanced take, right? I am like fully acknowledging everything you guys they do. You guys are saying, yes, he did this, but he's a role model, right? Like he covered up war crimes and then committed them himself, right? And then facilitated them later on with the Iraq War, right? The invasion of the Iraq War, like of all those lies, right? He did all of that, but like he had so many firsts. He was he was he was the first black Joint Chiefs of Staff. Why shouldn't my little Timmy look up to him? Like this
Okay,
is
wait, no, Prime, because that's a crazy mischaracterization of what I was saying. But let me ask you this really quickly.
I was talking about the others. I'm not not you.
Okay. Do you think, like, for example, do you think that as a musician, I can look up to R. Kelly as a producer?
Oh boy.
Ooh, this is death of the author.
So okay.
Or death of the artist.
If okay, so I'll tackle this directly, right? If you want to slice up a person's life that discreetly in terms of specifically like a skill, right? Okay, so there is I don't know football players, but a football player who's good at catching fucking footballs, right, and making the touchdowns, right, and people go, yay, hooray, he did it, he won all the points and got all the Super Bowl rings, right? There's one of those, right? You can say, hey, look at that guy's skill. He's really good at catching the fucking ball and running it across the field, right? Amazing. That's something to look up to. Anyway, he's good at that. He's proven it time and time again on the field. Yes, for that specific thing, you can look up to him. Also, though, right, after you do that, after you say, wow, look at him catching all those balls, right? You can also say, hey, look at his wife catching his fists when he used to beat her, right? Like, you can acknowledge that part, right? Like, okay, great.
Anyway,
Right. So it sounds to me,
keeping
keeping the analogy consistent.
Okay.
So it sounds to me like you do think that while we can say this person is trash for these things, we can compartmentalize and then say, but these other things are things that we can say are beneficial or positive things.
Don't. I'm saying you can.
So you're saying. So you're saying you in your ball player example, you're saying because of the fact that that ball player was beating his wife, then at that point you never respect the fact that he's an amazing ball player. You never look at those things.
No. I already answered this question. You can respect his skills. The skills are undeniable. He got the Super Bowl rings and he ran the ball down the field to the goal. Right? Hooray! Right? You can respect what he said. You can look at footage and like marvel at his skill. Right? But then you say, yeah, but that guy's a fucking piece of shit because he used to beat his wife. That's what you do.
Okay. So I mean, keeping the analogy same, you would say, wow, this guy really did have the ambition in order to climb up the ranks, in order to get to the high position he did. But he's really terrible for all of his war crimes, right? So, like, do you feel like there's any any piece of that that's disanalogous?
I mean, I guess. I mean, that's fine. It's just
you could say you don't respect them for playing ball game in a shitty system. That's
what?
Hold on. Wait. We made ground. Shut up, Jamali. No. Don't ruin this. We almost got him. Hold on. Prime.
I know it's too late. I'm gonna take that later. I hate everything. No, Fanatiq. I'm gonna answer you first, and then I'm gonna go after him second. But Fanatiq, buddy, I hear you. You can make those statements. Those words can come out of your mouth, right? Is that a good sequence of words? No, I think it's unoptimal. I think you should acknowledge, have the measure of the man. The measure of the man includes lots of things, right? We aren't all just one thing, right? So let's take a wife beater for instance, right? A wife beater isn't just one thing. It's like they are to other people. They're a good friend, right? They're a trusted employee. They're a loving son, right? They're all those things, and they beat their wife, and they do that, right? You can acknowledge that people have different experiences with others, right? Like that's what makes domestic violence so tough to deal with, right? Because you know that guy, right? You know that person, and they're a good guy to you. And honestly, the truth, that's a good guy. That guy, he, like, whenever I needed his help, he was there, like with his pickup truck, right? Like, as soon as I called him, he's there. Give the shirt off his back. And when I wasn't around, later on, he would give his wife a black eye.
Did we get rid of MLK Day because he may have potentially been a cheater?
I'm glad you brought up MLK.
I don't believe he was a cheater.
So glad you brought it up.
No, I'm just saying.
I
I understand that. I want to
Yeah.
deal with
Like,
that.
No,
okay, here's what you
keep
do.
going.
Here's what you do, right? you don't make
Every
you don't
MLK
bring
day, we show his cheating wife.
Here's the first thing. No, the first thing you do is you don't bring a terrible example like that. But I'll deal with it directly. No, you like a nuanced individual, right? Like it's from what the information I have gotten, it looks like MLK was a cheater. In terms of one, cheating on his wife, and then two, cheating like plagiarizing. Because there's a whole thing about MLK like plagiarizing his exams and stuff, right? And that's what seems to be the case with people who've looked at this evidence, right? That MLK plagiarized in there, right? And
Boo.
what I do, right, is that I look at the measure of the man and I judge that against everything else, right? And I say that cheating on your wife, well, bad, and plagiarizing, while bad, is nowhere near outbalances all the other things that he did, right? Like helping lead a movement, right? That one stain doesn't wipe out everything he did. But that stain isn't fucking war crimes. It isn't creating mass graves. We get the difference there, right? We get that difference. No, but you get the difference, right? That's more important. You understand the difference between war crimes and then like fucking other women. We those two things are different, right?
No, but I'm just saying.
Outside of your marriage,
like the point wasn't being perfectly analogous. The point I was making was that you can acknowledge like good or bad. You can acknowledge minors. Like the acknowledgement of minors doesn't like negate the majors. So like the major on when it comes to Colin Powell is bad, but that doesn't prevent us from acknowledging the minors of good that he's done.
I've already said that, but I've literally.
But I'm saying, you keep going back to the idea that we shouldn't. You're going back to it's bad to acknowledge those minors.
No.
To say that he's done good things is like bad. Like we shouldn't do that.
No,
like you can, but you like it's unoptimal to do
Fanatic
so.
already did the work for you. He already did the work for you, right? He already like got me there, right? He's like he very carefully, surgically divided the life of like R. Kelly, right? And saying like, well,
but at the end, you
appreciate...
said you still don't like it.
Yeah, because
we shouldn't acknowledge the minors.
No, I didn't say that. I never said that. That's not what I said. I'll try it again. What I said is that you can acknowledge these things, but what needs to come right afterwards is to put it all in the context of the terrible garbage things they did. I have brought up MLK's Infidelity. Thank you for that word. Yeah, infidelity before. I've done that. Like on the span, like completely unprompted. I'll bring it up. Like, oh yeah, but like it might be a thing, right? I can balance that. I don't mean to like invalidate him because it does not invalidate everything. Like, and from as far as we know, that he might have done that. It doesn't invalidate anything else that he accomplished. But that's not war crime, so it's not even relevant to this conversation. I don't know why you would even bring it up.
Okay, so I think I know where the problem is right now, right? It's because I feel like you're trying to come to like a value judgment for like, yeah, like you said, what's the measure of the man, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's what we're doing because I'm not like at all. I think what I'm saying is that compartmentalizing, we can see good and bad. Like I'm not trying to basically come to a point where I say, hey, well, you know, because these good outweigh these bad, like then this is who he is as a whole, right? Like I'm not trying to come to like some.
But
like,
do you think that's the case? No, but okay, work on my level for a second. Do you think
that's what you're doing?
Yeah, I know. But you're doing something separate. You're saying you're compartmentalizing. Okay. But on my level, right? When I'm taking the measure of the man, what is your measure of the man of Colin Powell?
He's awful.
What?
He the measure of the man is he's a very terrible, like terrible dude overall. Like I think his bad outweighs his good, and I think that everyone here believes that.
I'm not exact. No, I'm not positive on that. I
believe that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Okay, Bam, you would think it, Jamali.
I also think that it's war crimes. War crimes are bad.
Jay Cooks, Jesus, please.
Does his work crime make him bad?
You see?
What did he ask? What did he ask? I missed the question.
Does a war crime make him bad? Make Colin
No,
I'm
asking Jameli to say more specifically what he's talking about.
Okay, sorry.
I mean, it's not just the war crimes though. It's other things that he's done. But yes,
the war crimes. Yeah, you're in the same pot.
No. Don't interrupt him. Jamali. Specifically, is Colin Powell? I'm gonna make sure, like, there's no wiggle room here, right?
Bad guy.
Okay, he's a terrible human being that doesn't deserve to be looked up to, right? Like overall, you wouldn't Because he's like because you don't want your kid to
I
look up
wouldn't want
to
my
terrible
kids to
human
look up
beings.
to Colin Powell. No, because I wouldn't want my kids to have to go to the military to find a way out of poverty. But like, and
No,
like,
don't wiggle out of this. Like,
I know I wouldn't want my kids looking up to Colin Powell.
okay, great.
I think I don't think I look up. I mean, and this is I feel like I'm gonna ruin like this good faith that we've created. I don't base looking up to people necessarily based off of the actions. Like I think character becomes like a really big draw into that. Like, what is the character of the person? Like, because like as far as accomplishments, like Donald Trump achieved being president, but I feel like Donald Trump's character, like regardless of his accomplishments, like don't make him someone worthy of looking up to. And I don't think he had time in his life. I mean, I guess in his time as president, he did war crimes, but I don't think he had time in his life. He's done half as many war crimes in his actions.
I agree.
Is that weird?
No, it is weird. No, it's weird because I'll tell you why. Because yes, he spoke softly. Colin Powell, like he was kind to his friends, right? He's like, he was a good person to spend an afternoon with, right? He would like regale you with amazing stories about his past. He would draw you in, right? He was charming. He was a charming individual, right? And he treated his grandkids, he treated his children and his grandkids, right? Like they were princes and princesses, right? And there was nothing he wouldn't do for them. And then when he went to work, of course, he buried people under rubble when he was dropping bombs on apartment buildings in poor neighborhoods. That's what he did, right?
What else does a soldier do?
Oh, thank you for that. Okay, I'll get back to yelling at Jamali in a second, but first, Jay Cook. Let's make sure she's on.
Wait, I forgot. Okay, the question is,
do I think Powell bad?
Do you think he's morally
overall, considering the good and the bad,
do
you think that the bad outweighs the good?
Do I think that the bad outweighs the good?
What are the good things? Before you even ask this question,
we've already talked about that.
No, we didn't talk about the good
only
things.
Good, yeah.
At least not you guys didn't talk about the good things. So Prime, having an honest perspective on Colin Powell's history, what are some of the good things that he actually achieved?
Great. I'll answer this quickly, and then I want to get back to Jay Cook, because I think she's going to say something terrible, unfortunately. So Fanatiq, he sees it coming too, right? That's what I see, his body language. Okay, okay. So Colin Powell, right? Rose to the ranks, breaking record after record. I mean, achieving different positions that African Americans had not achieved previously. He had also helped with, I think he helped with, my understanding, if I get this wrong, I apologize, but he helped somehow with desegregating the forces, our military forces, right? That's something he helped do, and from my understanding. And he got to achieve the rank of Joint Chiefs of Staff, which is the highest. That's the pinnacle in the military. That's what he did, right? First black man to do that. But fuck, everything I'm saying is fucking diversity,
that's
bullshit.
what I'm saying.
And I wasn't even.
Exactly what I was gonna say.
And those weren't the things I was asking you to talk about.
Okay, well then you tell me.
I'm talking about as an actual military personnel. What did he achieve besides desegregating the military?
Oh, you mean
force?
in terms of battles? Or...
Not even his battle.
I don't know what you mean. I'm sorry.
Do you know that he was the one of the leading forces in the negotiations that helped end the Cold War?
Okay. Sure.
Okay.
No. I hear you. Okay.
No,
I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. I'm saying that's a thing that he did, but
it's a very big thing that he did.
Yeah.
But
okay.
it's just.
Sure.
But no one knows about this. I don't think. Did you know
specifically about what he did as really as the good things he did as a black person? That's why.
He's talking beyond that because he's talking about war crimes.
No, I'm talking.
He's talking way
about
beyond that.
I'm talking about the full.
He's talking about everything. So this is why I bring in something as big as that. If somebody and this is why I feel like the discourse isn't 100% honest. It's very emotional, very colored.
I wouldn't
And you
be.
guys, and this is the same time. This is like the same thing when you started talking about Isola. I'm so glad I looked it up after you brought up like we were talking about the left, and you were talking about how the left the moderates hated MLK,
Okay.
and somebody who stabbed MLK was a moderate. That woman was a schizophrenic, very low IQ. And it was like, it was the most,
Okay.
I don't want to say anything,
God.
but Prime, that was
my
like,
God.
you tend to
Sorry.
take historical events
Oh,
and
I'm
you
waiting.
paint them
I'm
the way
waiting
you
for
feel.
you to prove that anything that I've said today is wrong. I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting.
I'm
for
not
it.
saying what you're saying is
Nothing? Okay,
wrong,
great.
but
So
you're
then we can
literally,
ignore that.
this
We
is
can
like,
ignore-
no,
Okay, so
I'm,
then why are you making this point, Azzy? I don't understand.
because you're coloring the argument as in the man is a monster, the man is, I don't want my children
committed
waking up.
War crimes. I don't know how many times.
Wait, no.
How
I'm
many
gonna
times
try.
I
Hold
ended
on, Prime. Let me
wars,
try
but
one
he
more
ended
time.
wars.
Let's try one more time. I got you.
I-
Would you say if he was responsible for the deaths of 100,000 people by like carpet bombing, I don't know, like places where poor people lived or things like that, would you say that that would be better? Would you say that ending the Cold War would somehow like offset that such that we would be able to deify him at that point?
One, did he
It's
end up?
not, I don't even,
Are you?
I don't even think you need to,
Are you asking me?
you don't even,
Are you?
I'm asking Azzy because
Oh,
he's
sorry. Oh.
yeah. Azzy,
I don't
would
think
you say that?
engaging in war crimes, and I don't even think you have to engage in the conversation. It's just that we choose to do this because we need to then qualify and quantify the actions of a person. When instead, if I just listen to everything that Bam said, yeah, he did nasty, disgusting, horrible things. But is he then a monster? And is he a
So you're not answering my question.
Like,
I don't know if you heard it. Did you hear my
Is
question?
he
I'll
now
re-ask it one
akin
more
to-
time.
I'm gonna
Let's
make.
try it
I'm
because
trying to finish my point. I'm trying to finish my point.
no. Don't
No,
just
no, no,
finish
I
your
know you like to
vanilla
hear the
point.
sound of your voice,
I
Fanatiq,
asked you.
but let me finish.
I asked you a
Hold on,
freaking
Fanatiq, let me
question.
finish.
And now you're not
I
responding.
can't even
to
hear
the
you. You're on
question I
28%.
asked you.
So I'm gonna finish.
It's not. No.
Can't
This
even
isn't
hear
just
me.
hey Azzy. When I
Okay.
ask you a
Go
question,
ahead.
that isn't just begging you to just start
All right,
talking and saying
Fanatiq, I'll give you a cookie
nonsense.
afterwards too.
I
Go
asked
ahead,
you
bro.
a
I know
specific
you can't.
question, and I was hoping you would actually engage with the question I asked you, so we can actually have a freaking conversation. So once again, I'm asking you. Do you believe that him ending the Cold War, if that's what you're claiming he did, would you say that that's enough to offset all of the damages that like all of the other people have brought up thus far from his actions?
I think, well, yes, I think ending a
Okay.
war is almost it. I don't even. I feel like this is so. It's so pointless. It's like this. It's so minuscule, so mundane to even get into like this trying to scale his accomplishments right now. Whether like ending a war is just as good or offsets starting or having engaging in war crimes where he wasn't the only person. He wasn't the only person to end the Cold War. I'm not saying he's all of a sudden everything is rectified, but I'm saying he has done plenty of significantly good things in his career that we can look up to. And despite that, his character is still intact. We're not talking about Donald Trump. We're not talking about Hitler. We're not talking about Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein. Okay, Saddam Hussein. Like, it's really just this rhetoric, which is what it is, really is this rhetoric, which is why I brought up the fact that Prime was trying to color all of moderates with the fact that a woman stabbed MLK, which was clinically a schizophrenic, probably had an episode. No,
we can deal with that.
I think sometimes
you guys are engaging in a pointless rhetoric. Even this
Okay.
questioning, do you think his
hold
bad
on,
outrages good?
No, because I'm not gonna let Azzy go here. Even the point you make, right, about like being the lead negotiator. First of all, I want to see your source and know exactly what they say, right? I want to know exactly what they're talking about, right? But in any case, what Powell did, like we can go down that path. You want to do that? Sure, okay. Well, when the Cold War did end, what Powell did was he helped create the Powell Doctrine, which talked about how to sell war to the American people, right? What Powell did was help reconfigure the U.S. military in a way that we can have open-ended war throughout time. The Powell Doctrine is still in effect, right? This opened up in the world, like Afghanistan.
Is he not a military person?
Listen. Afghanistan.
Is that not his job?
No, listen to what I'm saying.
It's not that he's selling. I am listening.
No,
you're
not,
coloring it.
Powell. So what did I say about the Powell Doctrine? What did I just say then?
The Power Doctrine.
Powell.
Powell.
The Powell. Colin Powell
I
doctrine.
thought it's called.
No,
I
Powell.
thought it was called the Power Doctrine.
Powell. The Powell doctrine. Or whatever you thought it was called. What did I just say about it?
I'm pretty sure it's called the Power Doctrine.
No, it's not.
But-
You have no idea what I'm talking about. What is it?
Go ahead, continue, Prime. Continue,
Okay,
Prime.
all right. Thank
And
you.
I'm pretty sure it's called the Power Doctrine.
No, you don't. What is it? All right, pull up the Power Doctrine. Pull up the Power Doctrine.
I'm pulling it up.
Great,
I'm
you do
pulling it
that.
up right now.
You do
I
that.
feel like
That's
I feel like
nothing to
I
do-
feel like overall, like people.
No.
we have a-
I gotta
Oh, my
finish
bad.
this.
It
I
is the
gotta
Power
finish
Doctrine.
this.
Because,
Because
all right, I'm listening.
Azzy is
the
distracting us
Power
with like
Doctrine.
with apparently him being deaf now. Okay. The
No, it's a
Powell
Powell
doctrine.
Doctrine. You're right.
Oh, am I right? Am I right about that? Okay, thank you. All
You're
right.
yeah, you're right.
Oh yeah, because I know what I'm talking about. Thank you. So
Of course you do,
the Powell doctrine, right? He brought the point that I'm making here is that after the Cold War ended, right? What he wanted is to sell the world on America hegemony and all the good things that it could do, right? He made a speech talking about like all the great interventions that the U.S. is engaged in, right? Again, and while he was doing that, talking about, oh, here's the dictators we knocked off and the democracies we defended, right? Like he didn't mention like, oh, here's the scores of civilians that we murdered, right? That we tossed in the ditch. Here's the ones that we set on fire. We dropped napalm on, right? That's what he was doing. He like the Powell Doctrine helped sell these things to the public, to the American public. That was most important. Like, is that the American public has to get on board with these wars so we can wage these wars how we want to, right? And how we want to is, you know, those ideals that we pretend we care about, right? Those American ideals of fairness and just being heroes and all that. That's all bullshit. That's all fucking bullshit. And we'll turn the media on our side to help advertise war. That's what he did, right? So that is in conjunction with the Cold War ending, because then America is a hegemony, right? So even the example you brought up, right? Even that is tainted by everything else he's done.
Yeah. So I mean, under Azzy, I see what you're saying in terms of like he's a military person, so that's his job. But I think, and I'm not going to say I'm speaking for Prime here, but for my argument, I don't think that's a good thing. I don't think we want the military industrial complex. We don't want things that promote that sort of agenda, right?
Well, I'm not trying. That's what I'm saying. I'm not gonna put a good or bad. And these words we use that are like almost character traits to try to talk about the things that he's done. War crimes in any circumstance. War crimes, war in general. I'm pretty sure we all agree that war in general is unnecessary. It leads to huge atrocities. And no one wants war. Yes, but he enlisted. He rose the ranks. He did his job, and he did his job well, despite the fact that despite the fact of the war crimes. Okay, the war crimes it doesn't negate the significance of the war crimes and all the things he did, especially with you said the Powell Doctrine, where he makes the public, he makes war more palatable for the public. Yes, okay, yeah, that I understand that point. It still doesn't. I still think you're coloring this in a way with very emotional, and you're like the rest of a lot of the media is doing, where now they're disparaging a lot of what he's doing, who he was as a individual.
Let's
And
reverse.
you're saying
Let's reverse it just for a second. Let's reverse it just.
Which is what Bam said. Which is what Bam said.
Let's
No,
reverse it
which
just
I'm
for a
gonna
second.
finish.
on
Let me
this.
finish. Let me
My
finish.
name is
But
Bennett.
Bam, you literally said, yeah, he did bad things, but is he a bad person?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, but let me can I just say really quick why? Like we have a really hard time. We do have a really hard time, and America does this intentionally, of humanizing people from other countries. Like regardless of, I don't know like the particulars of how many triggers he personally pulled, but Colin Powell is responsible for 10 times, 100, maybe 100 times the deaths of Dylan Roof. Is there anything I could tell you about Dylan Roof that could make him a decent person? Like, so that if I said that like he fed the children, or he worked for an orphanage, or he gave 100 homeless people homes that he built by his bare hands. As soon as I tell you that this dude killed 9 black people in the church, like, this is a pretty irredeemably scum person. And Colin Powell is responsible for, like I said, probably 100 number of the deaths than him.
I feel like it's a really irresponsible rhetoric, but go ahead.
So you ignore what the question? Like,
No, I didn't ignore the question
Okay,
because
answer.
I'm gonna go about, because it's a lot, like we said, there's a lot more nuance in Colin Powell than Dylan Roof, who literally went into a church, worshipped with the people amongst smiling faces, and then proceeded to kill them.
You don't think none of the people that Colin Powell responsible for the deaths for smiled before?
Oh, no, let me
All
say
right,
that one more.
Hey,
Let me
hey,
say that
Azzy.
one more time, because I feel like that just went over your head. Because you still proceed with the down
No,
this
he
this
was
pipeline.
joking. He understood it. I got a good question
Even if
for
it
you, though,
was a
Azzy.
joke, I know, but people
he
are
was
gonna hear
joking.
this.
He heard
and
you.
I
He
just
heard
want to
you.
make sure.
But you already
He
said
went
it. Like,
into a church, worshipped with individuals, broke bread with people that got to know them almost on a surface-based level, right?
Bread with you.
And then proceeds to shoot. You can just like imagine it, and then proceeds to kill you. Like,
okay, we got it. So
I'm not even gonna put these guys in the same conversation. And that's why
they're not in the same
that's why I feel like
conversation.
this is
You're
an
right.
irresponsible way to go about this rhetoric. We
Okay, you're
talked
right. They're not
about
in the
Bill
same conversation.
Cosby. I'm not done.
For 10 years.
I'm not done. Shut up. We talked about Bill Cosby. We talked about R. Kelly in the same conversation as Colin Powell. This is so irresponsible, man. I feel there's a way better to go about this. But I understand this is the path we chose. I kind of knew this is what the route we're going to go down. Because, I know Prime's heart. He's a good guy, but he's a little emotional sometimes. He says big things. But
yeah, when we're talking about war crimes and the deaths of children being blown to bits, I get a little emotional. I'm sorry, it's a defect of mine. I apologize.
We think they're like NPCs.
I didn't say it was a defect, but
Mm.
I'm saying you can rein it in just a little bit, But that's my opinion. You have yours, I have mine. Is mine any less than yours? No.
You said you dragging
Go ahead. All right, now I'm done. Go ahead, Fanatiq.
You dragging it like what? 1,000 dead people? 10,000?
I'm not even saying he's dragging it. I'm just saying the way we're going about it, like I'm not saying it's wrong or right, but I'm saying it's kind of irresponsible. That's what I'm gonna say. All right, that's my opinion. Okay, we can move forward. Go ahead, Fanatiq.
Okay, Fanatiq.
Oh no! My question was for Azzy, and I put him back on mute. I can't do it anymore. I can't interact with him. So, but it's okay. We can keep on going. You guys keep.
Jay Cook. All right, not off the hook, of course. So, measure of the man.
No. Yeah. I know I'm not off the hook because something you said actually did change my mind. So congratulations. Yes, war crime is bad, but I also agree with a little bit with Jamali. I don't think that Colin Powell should be looked at as a hero by Black kids, but I do think he should be like he should be in the conversation. Like Black kids should know who he is. Not from a neutral standpoint, from like he did all these bad things, but he was Black. That from that standpoint.
I'm sorry, that's a bit of nothing burger take, Jay. Like,
is it?
Yeah.
Is there wrong?
People
What's
should
wrong
know
with
that a
nothing
historical figure existed. I mean, okay, great. But like let's.
So you're saying because he did bad things, we shouldn't know?
No, I didn't
Like,
say that.
kids shouldn't-
I didn't say Jay. I didn't say that.
Okay.
I said that's a nothing burger statement in that, like, yes, we should learn about historical figures, and the things that they did. But like it feels like you're weaseling out of like the heart of the matter, right? Is this man a monster for committing those war crimes? Like looking at the full scope of his life, can you still classify him as a monster?
Of every full scope of everything he did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great.
It's bad. Yeah.
Great. Just needed that.
Okay. Man, we tried to ask that so long ago. So okay, so it seems like Prime. Then that
I
means
forgot
like
about that.
literally all
Yeah,
of
and you
us.
changed my mind. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's beautiful. See, so look, these panels are good for something, even if Azzy's in them. So I think then that means
We're
then,
not
so
in soul
we
obnoxious,
are
bro.
all
I
on the same
can't, bro.
page. That
He is so
overall, like
obnoxious.
I
his
thought you
bad
muted each other.
outweighs his good. No, I muted him. He never mutes me. He likes to listen to me
Let
talk
me mute
crazy.
him right now.
I feel like
Because
so we all
I
at
try
least
to have
agree
good
that like
faith,
his
but it's
bad
just like
outweighs his good.
it's
Now that
just too
that's
far gone.
established,
He's
his
too
bad
far
outweighs
gone.
his good.
Too much
So
Wendy's, bro.
overall, his like number, if his life, we're trying to judge it, his life is in the negative on the number line.
Okay.
But the next question just becomes now. So then at that point, even like keeping that framing in mind, we should be able to recognize just on just the sole aspect of him being a black man in this position, that's beneficial. But we would always make sure that we underscore how terrible a person he was, right? And one more thing, little children, like who we're probably not going to be talking to about war crimes, they're not going to be aware of all the atrocities of who he was.
Yeah.
They'll only see him as just a black person in this position that they can say this, so I can do this, while not like just
Associating
in that
with,
position, but never, exactly, never relating it to all of the nonsense.
Which is
I
why
guess Obama's.
which is why we correct them, right? Like as
I guess
children, right?
Obama's
like,
a monster too.
Like so can let's try this just for a moment. Can you look up to people from foreign countries, right? Like in the same way, right? Someone accomplishes something great. Let's say they're black. That makes it easier for the conversation. But like someone in a foreign nation, like can you look up to them and their accomplishments and all the things they've done, right?
For the same
Ain't
things
Gandhi
as
a
Colin
racist?
Powell?
No, just listen. Let's just listen, please. Just answer the question.
Yes.
The person who has accomplishments, great. Right? You can do that?
Yeah, like we can look at the person who has
Why not?
accomplishments.
Yeah.
So like a
Look at
person
their
in this
Modi?
country can
I'm
do
very
that. Okay,
similar.
great. So that other country invades the U.S. and just does similar actions, right? And that person, they happen to be the equivalent of the Joint Chiefs of Staff on that other nation, and they execute a war on the United States, and they bury people here in rubble, right? It's a tragedy. It's a scar that we have to live with for decades, right? Like we can also say the same thing, right? Well, like look at that guy and what he accomplished, right? He rose in that nation, right? And that nation, he rose to that position from nothing. He came from nothing, and he rose to that position, and he firebombed Chicago. Right?
You kind of
Like,
let us down
and-
here a little bit. Wait, you asked first if we can appreciate the accomplishment of other people,
Right,
and
no,
then
no,
you
no.
asked if we could appreciate if they
Yeah, because I was taking.
Harmed
I
us?
walked you.
Yeah,
I walked you.
let him finish. Let him finish. I don't think there's any conflict yet. Keep going,
okay,
please,
yeah,
Brian.
sorry.
Yeah. So well, I think I was more or less done. But like the point is that like it's going back to what Bam had said previously, and that how hard it is for us to humanize others and recognize the full impact of their actions. So if those actions had been burning down American City, right, killing hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people in the process, right, like the person responsible at the top who gave those orders could have accomplished a great many things. And just like, and I guess you can acknowledge all of that, but he did burn down Chicago. Chicago's in ruins, and there's millions dead, and we have to dig up their bodies because there's mass graves now where their apartments stood. Like when you tell me that like we can acknowledge him to children, right? Like that's what I'm hearing. It's like, oh, okay, but I mean, he did great stuff.
Would you expect people from different from different sides, from different angles or different connections to have different thoughts on a person? Like, could you ever expect? I don't know. I'm gonna name. I don't even know if she's alive, but could you ever expect R. Kelly's mom to hate R. Kelly, or do you acknowledge
bring
the
his
realities
mother
of
in.
or do you acknowledge the
mother's the
realities
best
that they have a
idea
different
that you can do?
dynamic? They have,
Would you?
I'm just saying.
I literally
I would-
started. Remember when I said that whole thing about wife beaters and they could be loving sons and like
Sure.
great father?
Yeah, but I'm saying, But the point of it was acknowledging that there would be a different perspective. So
Yeah,
like I would never expect like the average American citizen to like have respect for the person who attacked them personally,
or someone in India to
Great,
like
but
Winston
why can't we
Churchill.
so this no you bam.
But I would expect
bam,
someone in India.
Bam, you hit it. You hit it, right? Because you just hit my point, right? Because this is what we're running up against is the limits of human empathy. Because why does it have to be that they attacked us? Why can't it be that innocent people were killed, right? Like civilians were slaughtered, and that ends the conversation. It doesn't matter whether they were in a neighborhood next to mine, right? It doesn't matter if I talk to them and make friends with them. It doesn't matter if they're on the other side of the planet, and I would never in my entire life have encountered them. Their lives are just as valuable.
Wait,
I'm
no.
just saying
So
there's
here's the deal.
dynamics.
No. You still get to compartmentalize. There's plenty of things.
There's
right?
dynamics.
Like, say this
I
is a
don't
leader,
understand.
right? Like that same leader that you talked
but
about,
I
that, like,
understand
came over here and raised
your
our
political.
country. Like, let's say that guy.
your political
They
stance.
don't
One at a time. Sorry.
Oh,
Fanatic,
who was
Fanatic.
talking? Wasn't I talking first? I thought so. Yeah. So say that guy.
he's talking?
Like,
I
literally
should
went
just
through in
keep
a
talking.
situation.
Just
Yeah,
'cause,
he shouldn't be muting me because he doesn't know how to do it. I've muted him forever. Like, he doesn't know how to do this. He needs to stop jocking. Anyway, so say that same guy, like we look and we find out that his country was incredibly destitute before he rose into power, and then like as he rose into power, he did all of these amazing things and helped that country to like reestablish itself as like as its own power, like helped bring people out of poverty, like helped women to achieve, and so he did all of these beautiful things in that country. Yeah. All those individuals in that country, they're going to see him for that thing, for how he impacted their lives, and we can still look at that person and say, these things he did were good as far as the way he transformed his economy and helped elevate the lives of those people, but he's a monster and a demon, right? Like if Hitler was a good painter, I would say his paintings are good, but he's an evil human being, right?
Winston Churchill is another example of this.
Right. So in the same sense, I don't think that there's any deviation here. It doesn't matter who the victims are. If someone did something well, they did something well. R. Kelly's an amazing producer.
I don't know why we're looping now at this point.
Oh, because it seemed like you were using that argument to try to say that because of the fact that this guy hurt our people, that somehow it would change our outlook, and it wouldn't. I would look at that person the same way.
Wow. First of all, I don't fucking believe you. Fanatic.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
What? I believe you on lots of things, but I don't believe you on this. I do not believe if your neighborhood got firebombed. If your neighborhood was like napalmed and you watch people be incinerated, right? Your friends and family, that you acknowledge, oh yeah, well that guy was a really good military commander, and like that would be the top of mind. Like I
didn't say be the top of mind. You're moving the goalpost. I didn't say be the top of mind. I didn't say that.
I'm saying okay. So
I didn't say that. That's not the way it works.
Fine, I didn't say it. Fine. I'll use your words. I don't see the fucking point of even bringing in compartmentalizing. Like I don't like that seems like you end up minimizing what you're doing here. It's like, yeah, but we can also compartmentalizing. But like it does minimize it. So like it's like I don't even care about this argument because it minimizes what actually happened. Yes, you could do that. You could engage in
compartmentalizing. Prime.
But why?
Yeah, so there's a lot of reasons why, right? Because what I've found is even within my own life that you have to do it. It's impossible. Like everyone will fail you, no matter what. It doesn't matter who it is. My mother is an amazing woman, but she's made plenty of mistakes. In my stream, I've talked about those mistakes openly. Like some of those mistakes directly impacted my life. Now, she's an amazing woman, multiple master's degrees, like literally went from like welfare to like literally upper middle class, like bought properties, instilled all sorts of values. She's done amazing freaking things. Now that doesn't undo all of the terrible things that I feel like, some of these things were just abject failures. I said that I was talking to my cousin, and she was dating someone who was incredibly important to me, a really good family friend. And I was telling her, it's really difficult for me because I'm in a position where this is a person that I've literally said out loud, I trust this person with my life. But now I have to reconcile that individual with the same individual who has done some things that I think are incredibly heinous, that I think are really, really problematic. So I'm always going to be making those decisions. right? I have family members who I completely love. I have an amazing family. I love all of these individuals, but I can point to literal individual things that all of them have done where I could be like, dang, yo, I feel like you kind of screwed me over here. Or wow, I feel like that was really, really heinous and I would have never done anything like that to you. And it's always going to be the case. As a human being, as a mature adult, we're going to recognize no one's going to be perfect one way or the other. So always, I'm going to always have to look and say, even if I respect you, there are things you've done that have pissed me to freak off. And I still love you regardless and I have to overlook some things. And that's just part of life. So no matter what, I'm always going to compartmentalize. It doesn't matter. Like I said, if Hitler was a great painter, that nigga's a great painter. If Donald Trump, like I can say Donald Trump is one of the most heinous presidents we've ever had. But would I ever say that nigga didn't instill great values?
No, let him finish. I'm trying to give Olive Branch to you, okay?
What?
He's about to give a good character trait.
No, I'm just saying, like, I don't understand how you don't understand
that. I'm trying to give Olive Branch to you, right? So, yes, in life, we do this. Indeed. We do this. For everyone that we've met, that's how we get along, right? Like, how can you come to work with someone that you like fucking hate, right? Well, you know, I hate this person on a personal level, but like, you know, business gotta get done, and so like here we are, let's get to work, right? Like, how could you do that? Like, you know, you compartmentalize. Sure, all right. Maybe we can like have like a scale, right? Let's like maybe like a scale, like maybe like on the ends of the scale, right? Like on like if there's like on one of these ends of the scale, there's a person who like, I don't know, commits war crimes, right? Or orders war crimes, then that one that we don't compartmentalize. When we get to your mother who's treated you badly, then in some cases, right? Then we do that. But when the levels of evil reaches a certain extent, right? Like when the graph like kind of like just like shoots up, right? Like there's a 1% of evil. We've achieved that. Maybe we don't compartmentalize, right? And then maybe we just say, no, this person's really fucking shitty. I don't give a shit.
I feel like, but then again, I feel like we're doing this by like removing human dynamics of it. Like the level of charitability you grant a person is completely related to your connection to that person.
The person.
The closer you are, the more charitable you are to like bad things they do. So I'm saying Colin Powell.
No, I don't know about liking bad things that they do.
You don't. It doesn't require charity at all. You can just literally look at the actions for the action's sake.
I agree.
I don't think humans do this.
I agree.
I don't think humans do this.
Like, you don't think humans do that?
No, I'm saying I don't. I think there's a girl.
No, you don't do that. I do that all day.
I'm telling you, there's a girl that in this world that I don't really hate people, but I say like I hate her guts because she poured popcorn on my head. She has a daughter. If I went and met her daughter and told her that she poured popcorn on her head, that wouldn't be enough for her to change her position on her mom because of the connection. But there's a different threshold of charitability that she grants her.
That has nothing to do with anything. What I'm saying is
I'm talking about human dynamics. That's the only thing I'm talking about.
Well, I hear you, but what I'm saying is objectively, regardless of whatever freaking dynamic, you can look at the actions and you can look at the actions from an objective standpoint and say if it's good or not. Again, like if I'm trying to think of whoever the heinous president is, right? Like it doesn't matter if I can still say, well, this is a good thing that this person did. Like no matter what, like ultimately, I will say overall, this person is a demon. This person is a scumbag. This person is harmful. This person is all that. If I found out today that Jeffrey Dahmer was actually the person who produced the best songs of all the best tracks that I've loved for my entire life, I'm going to say, dang, that nigga's a great producer. He's a trash human being, but he's a great producer. It doesn't matter. Like there's no threshold in which case that I will suspend reality in order to be uncharitable to a person. I'm not capable of doing that. I'm not willing to do that even if I was capable.
I think Bam is saying I don't, and
that's what Prime said. That's what Prime said, not Bam.
I agree with you in the sense that, you know, viewing things objectively as possible is the idea, but I think what Bam was saying is that people don't do that. I think most people don't do that. I think you and I or other people here are probably the exception in that regard. And there's probably a small amount of people who actively are able to take themselves out of situations to view them that objectively. Now, in the case of the example that Prime gave about, like, you know, giving, someone has accomplishments and then they do things in your country where you're from. Now, generally speaking, you're never going to come to the point where you have to acknowledge the good things that someone else has done from like another country. So you're only going to have that experience with the bad stuff. So of course, but if you actually sit there and like, okay, well, Winston Churchill caused the famine in India. Like, what did why do people love Winston Churchill so much? What did he do in Britain that made it whatever the fuck Winston Churchill did? I don't know. I don't give a shit. But like, I would sit there and be like, okay, well, I mean, those are pretty cool, but like, he still bombed my fucking home. Like, that's still pretty shit. Like, he's the worst. I think those two things are where Bam is sort of saying like, people don't do that. And then Fanatiq is saying like, well, yeah, I do that.
But I'm saying none of these things, like we're using words like objectivity, like this isn't a conversation. Like at the end of it, like we can list the actions they did objectively, but the opinions will always be subjective. Like there's no objective. Like I'm saying,
and water is wet.
Colin
Whoever
Powell,
said anything contrary to that? What are you talking
we're
about?
talking about these things like as if there's some objective truth to it. I'm saying Colin Powell's kids will never objectively feel like he's a bad person.
Who cares? Who cares?
Because Prime brought up the dynamics of like, oh, what if they came over here? I'm saying then that changes the dynamics, and then that changes the entire subjective position we hold.
Oh my god! Yeah, I don't know how you guys are missing everything. So I'll just say this, and then after that, I'm kind of.
There was nothing missed.
There's a lot missed for when
nothing was missed. Nothing was missed.
What I said. I know you believe that. You're just wrong.
He know who
Anyway,
he's
so my
talking
point
to?
being, I think that
talking to
ultimately,
Bam.
like,
wait, who missed?
Objectivity. Like we all can look at things objectively if we choose to, but I think a lot of times we just I'm not saying right as much as possible, and I'm not saying that bias isn't going to exist, but I'm saying that even outside of like cases in which there's going to be like crazy amounts of bias because you're like a direct family member and things like that, I think that we should be allowed to look at things objectively or attempt to look at things as objectively as possible and to compartmentalize. Like now, some people are more capable of doing this than others, and that to the people that can't do it, that's your life. Like you live your life however you freaking see fit. But I personally think it's the best way to be is to try to look at things as objectively as possible. And I was going to end that by saying that Dave Chappelle is like literally the best comedian of all time. Now that's my subjective opinion. Although I think the numbers and all that stuff really.
We're gonna have to leave it.
Anyway, my point being, hold on. My point being, he made an amazing observation when he pointed out, and he played on this thing a whole bunch of times. One, when he talked about specifically Bill Cosby, and he like had the whole like that whole statement, that whole comedian, that whole joke about he saves but he rapes, right? And it was a commentary on the fact that sometimes like the people that you might idolize or that you think are particularly good or for whatever reason, they can be like emblems of like success or admiration despite some of the negative attributes that like you could have witnessed in them. And I think he did the same thing when he was talking about like O.J. Simpson, and he's like and he's made the joke about how someone's like, yo, how could you shake the hand of that monster? And he's like, with all due respect, that monster ran X amount of yards, right? Or returned for X amount of yards. Like the fact of the matter is, we always have to do that. Like, and anyone here that's pretending as if they don't, I think is just absolutely ridiculous.